Hello, West Michigan. This is Tap In Podcast of West Michigan. My name is Pamela Keim and from Grand Tap Media, and I have Stephanie Kolakowski from Grow Business Today. The spirit of the show is to introduce all of the wonderful businesses and people and individuals that are going to help us thrive in our business and our lives. So I'm going to tap right into Stephanie Kolakowski, and she is going to be introducing our guest for today. Hello, Stephanie.
Hello, Pam. It's a beautiful day. The weather is looking up in West Michigan, and we've got lots to talk about. And our guest today, I'm so glad to have him here and have him present.
Okay.
We have Mr. Jeff Lobdell, who is the owner and CEO of Restaurant Partners. He represents over 13 different restaurants.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here, Jeff. We are happy to have you. And you have been a trailblazer and a leader, as always, in this space, especially the given times. And so we are so excited to talk today about you, about your amazing work in the community, about what's going on in the state of the states with Michigan and this shutdown. And if it's okay with you, a lot of the listeners probably don't have the background, and I want to do a quick little history lesson, and then I'm going to give you the floor to school us all and teach us all how things have changed over the last 10 months for your business. Is that cool? You froze. Uh-oh, Jeff, you're frozen.
All right, just keep reading it. You can just go.
Okay.
Just go there.
Jeff, sorry, you froze out there, buddy.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So I just want to make sure the listeners are aware of this. So back in April of this year, so month following COVID, we had in the restaurant industry over 72,000 jobs that went away. We had minus $491 million in revenue. This is just 1 month, the month of April in 2020. And 76% of our workforce during shutdown one for the restaurant industry was out of work. And when we look at the impact on this, just so the audience knows, because I think we talk percentages, but unless you're in the industry, you don't know what you don't know. The restaurant industry here in Michigan is responsible for $40 billion in annual sales. So Jeff, there was the starting point. Walk us through what's going on.
Well, there's a pandemic, I guess. So,
Yeah.
Crazy. They, horrible virus. Need to be safe, and so they started shutting down all businesses, which was heartbreaking. I've never had to put anybody on unemployment before, and to send over 600 people to furlough them into unemployment, which is heartbreaking. And it lasted 77 days. Our company did what we could with our limited resources, to have weekly get-togethers where we would give our staff, a pan of casserole to feed 6 to 8 people, gift cards, personal supply items like toilet paper, sanitation wipes, paper towels, anything we could get our hands on just to help people and get through it. So 77 days, the restaurant industry was closed. The restaurants did open up, and then eventually other businesses opened up, but now we had another shutdown, and the restaurants were first to close this time and the last to open.
Right. And can you talk through from what is that like inside? I mean, your whole life you've spent in the restaurant industry, right? So I'm imagining nothing like this has ever happened before to our world, let alone in business for yourself and your employees. Can you share with us some of the things, like the real life experiences of employees and their feelings and thoughts, and how this really impacts a family unit and in sense an economy?
Yeah. I've been in business a while, and it's painful as a business owner. I mean, it's going to set us back, a number of years, but the real pain is happening by the industry workers. I mean, a lot of them are just entering the workforce, or, single parents, waiting tables, cooking, hosting, floor level managing. That's the bulk of our staff. And I love them dearly. They love nothing more than to work with their fellow workers and serve the community. And some of them live check to check, and they're just trying to get by. And then when they're just shut down, and some took 6-8 weeks to get their unemployment benefits. And Others weren't eligible for unemployment benefits, and a lot of them got less benefits than they needed to get by, to pay their rent, to buy diapers, to buy groceries. So the impact on these people is just immense. And a lot of them, each restaurant is like its own family. So, a lot of them were dispersed and disbanded from each other all throughout the holidays. The people, that's their kind of emotional support system in addition to being their job. So it was just really brutal and heartbreaking. It still is. It is today.
So Jeff, I'm one of the things about the restaurant industry is so many other vendors feed it. So you have this, like example being locally Gordon Foods and things. What is the impact? I know I could probably figure out the impact, but what I'm saying is, how are they dealing with no longer you guys needing supplies? Because a lot of places are reduced their menus. You can't get as many beer choices. This is all, they've had to limit it because of supply, and they're not getting what they need.
Yeah, it's the impact on all the vendors, not the larger vendors like Gordon Food Service, Cisco, U.S. Foods, Van Eerden, Superior Foods, all the great local vendors that our industry has. They have a hard time of being able. There's no communication. You don't know when you're going to open, when you're going to close. How do you? A lot of these people have to plan months out and know the volume and quantities of products. So when we reopen, there's items that we ran out of. I guess, a certain specified chicken breast. We're just like, well, whatever chicken breast we can get. It's just been very difficult. A lot of items. Restaurant term is 86. If you don't have it, it's 86.
Yeah.
86 items out there.
Yeah. Supply and demand in every industry. I mean, I think what this has allowed an opportunity to do is everybody to step back. I mean, we all know how everything, public, private, work together, right? And how supply and demand and communication and technology is so important, because one thing connects and impacts another thing to a person, to a family, to an economy, right? And what was really interesting to me was we have community groups, which is great, and different voices that are heard in different areas. For the restaurant industry, it seemed to take a while before there was inclusion at the end of this year for thoughts and feedback and ideas. And I know recently Governor Whitmore has opened up and included some of the local leads here in Grand Rapids as of a few months ago. But can you talk to that a little bit, and how are some of these decisions being made, and are restaurant owners like yourself being included in them?
Sure. There was a commission that was formed about the industry and how the closures would happen and the guidelines, and nobody from the hospitality industry was included on the commission.
Wow.
It was all academics, attorneys, and big business, but there was not a hotel person, not a restaurant person. Nobody from the Restaurant Association was included in the decision making. So we're really disappointed on the lack of communication, especially the second time around. We were told there's going to be a 3-week pause, and then all of a sudden, as we got to the end of that, there was, hey, there's going to be 12 additional random days. Okay, now you're going to open January 16th. And these are playing with a lot of these staff and people's emotions. We were then told that over the holidays, there was actually press conferences that said, hey, you guys might even actually open up early. That did not happen. In fact, we learned yesterday that we're extended to November 1st. So we're beyond frustrated with the lack of communication. The state set forth some principles and guidelines and metrics to be met. The industry has met all those metrics, but still we're closed and extended out.
Right.
Our people are hurting. The Restaurant Association put together a campaign to send the email to the governor's office to please open restaurants. Restaurants are some of the cleanest, safest places in the community. The
Right.
managers are certified, staff is trained, they're socially distancing 6 feet apart. Everybody's wearing masks, enforcing mask wearing, screening our staff before they come in, tripling down on sanitation of touch points, hand washing, everything else for contact tracing. We are a travel and tourism state. This is a big part of our economy. It's not like we're inconsequential, and we just need to get kicked to the curb here. These are very important jobs. It's a very important industry. year after year until 2019, our state spent $50 million on the Pure Michigan campaign. And that has statistics said for every dollar spent, 7 more dollars would come back into our state's economy. Yep. No money has been spent on Pure Michigan in all of 2019, and I guess understandably in 2020. But it's like our whole industry has kind of been kicked to the curb. And we understand the pandemic is dangerous. We need to take precautions, but going to a restaurant is a choice. The restaurants are doing it safely, and we need to get them reopened.
You bring a good point. So yeah, the governor did have her announcement yesterday that it's extended to February 1st. And I didn't know, so I just was curious of how many other states are doing the same type of protocol, because I always like to try to, as we all do, keep up on worldly events. And is it true that Michigan has stayed closed the longest out of any other state in terms of the restaurant industry? And I think there's only 2 other states in the country that are still on some type of a shutdown or restriction like we are. Is that true?
Yeah. There are, large portions of California, but entire states, only the state of Illinois and the state of Washington. And I think they have plans to open Monday. So Michigan is one of only 3 states that's closed, entire state. And we are the only state without, even prior to yesterday, a discernible plan as to how we're going to reopen. Like, what's our capacity going to be? What's our hours going to be? What other restrictions? What kind of guidelines? And that press conference yesterday gave us nothing more. There was nothing to say what our capacity will be, what our hours will be, will there be a curfew? Nothing. In fact, they said more information will follow. So right now, we're the only state in the country without any communication or any discernible plan as to what's going to happen. So myself, my industry workers, fellow restaurateurs, some who I've known, are really down and out, have gone out of business. They're really upset about this, and a lot of consumers are. So it's really frustrating.
Well, when the start of the pandemic happened, the projection, and it's going to be interesting to see the final numbers come this April, but the projection sadly was only 1 out of 10 businesses, restaurants, would not make it through this pandemic, that they would need to close their doors. And when we talked a few minutes ago about the importance, and now having a better understanding, talking to you, that people weren't included in those conversations that probably should have been, and need to be, because you understand the semantics, operations, ins and outs, connectivity, value back to communities, economies, families, from the lens of a restaurant owner. So you could aid in some of these decisions that are being made on how to do the best that we can together. A program came out. And so I was really excited to have you on today. I had no idea. And I think I really want to educate people that are listening today, because again, simplifying this down is that when we look at the gap between funding allocation and resources, so knowing that the restaurant industry is responsible for $40 billion of sales in Michigan alone, that 10 million of coronavirus gap funding was available, but the way it was distributed was minuscule, where $1,625 per restaurant employee potential, and the majority not being able. I feel like maybe in the future, this is a really big eye opener as to really tracking this impact and saying, how can we get more involved? And the programs in place, I just want to highlight, were 2 that were spoken of in the governor's speech. And that was one, which was the $2 million diversion program, which I'll let you speak to a little bit. I can speak to very briefly if you need assistance. Liquor and the liquor buyback. So what are your feelings and thoughts on both those 2 programs in reference to the big picture here?
Sure. The state they have put together some grants. It's some of them were like trying to get a lottery ticket. People waited online all day. Said they were 6,700th in line. Other people got them. The local governments, like the city of Grand Rapids, has been wonderful, helping with outdoor dining. They've allowed for liquor to go, or alcohol sales to go, with sealed containers. So there's been some olive branches sent our way, which is greatly appreciated, but not enough to sustain restaurants. Most family-owned and operated restaurants do carry out as a courtesy. It's 5 or 10% of their business. And if you don't have your dining room, which is your community gathering place, and you're just going to try to operate on carry out, even if you triple or quadruple your business, it's not enough to sustain the business. In fact, in most instances, it costs you more to stay open and do 30% of your sales from previous year than it does just to close and pay your, shut your utilities down, pay your rent, and ride out the storm. We've chosen to keep as many of our restaurants open for carry out. So out of the 17, I had 20 locations at this time last year. I have 17 now.
Oh, wow.
There's 5 that are temporarily closed. So we've got 12 restaurants just doing carry out, trying to keep some of our salary people working. We're doing so at a greater cost than just closing, but we feel it's the right thing to do as long as we have, the limited resources to do so. But there has been a few things that have helped in all of this from the state, but not enough. 2,000 restaurants in Michigan have already permanently closed. They think out of the 27,000 restaurants, they feel there'll be another 5 or 6,000 more to permanently close. So it's really harmful to a state that's invested so much for so many decades into hospitality, into travel and tourism, just to see all these restaurants be shuttered for good forever. A lot of institutions that have been around for many, many years are now going by the wayside.
Well, Jeff, I always kind of ask the questions what I hear behind closed doors. There's a lot of people saying that restaurant owners are fearful of speaking out and going to the governor and worried about them losing their liquor license or having, inspections more on a regular basis. Double, you know what I'm saying, to be harassed by the state if they speak out against her, because a lot of them feel this is nothing to do with, it's more of a political stance, what's going on here. It's more political than it is health. Although we know that it is a concern, but like you said, all of us are like at restaurants. We walk right to our table. We don't interact like we used to. We're sitting in it. It's crazy. You guys are very clean. They enforce the mask. I talked to Tommy Brand in an interview, and he was sharing the same thing. What are your thoughts on that? As people, restaurant owners just being a little bit fearful. Yeah, we can speak out, but we may get, they may get in trouble from the state because they have a license they need to keep.
I don't know of anyone who's been in trouble for speaking out. I know there's a lot of people that are fond of the governor and the people that report to her erring on the side of caution. I think that's, admirable. We try not to be political.
Right.
We welcome all. We have a lot of great people from both sides of the aisle that work for us, that consume with us. So, we're not looking to, cause any political fights in this, but it's hard not to feel the pain that's going on. I've heard of a number of restaurateurs that said, I'm just going to open. I have to. I have nothing left to lose, and I feel for them. And they're trying to open in secrecy and hope that nobody blows the whistle on them. Like I said in the beginning, I have a lot to lose because I need to be there for my communities. I need to be there for the families that work for me. I can't take the chance of permanently closing. As painful this is, I need to be there for the others that count on us. I'm trying not to keep this political. I'm just trying to talk about the points of safety, how safe restaurants are. I'm unaware of any widespread or even more than of just 1 or 2 cases, like a big college bar that opened up and let everybody come in, no mask. But I'm not aware of any restaurants that are doing this right, wearing masks, social distancing, tripling down on sanitation, that there are any cases out there where the spread of coronavirus has happened in restaurants. I have over 700 employees, 17 locations. Since March 16th, we've not had a single reported guest that has had coronavirus attributed to restaurants in mine. And I don't know of any of my fellow restaurateurs.
Well, and I will say that restaurants almost you guys led the way as far as like going above and beyond, even in that first shutdown and reopen of taking temperatures when you walk in the door. I mean, I remember walking into Uccello's here in Standale, and I'm like, oh my gosh, temperatures, names, emails, supplying masks, making sure if you didn't bring one, not to turn you away, but to keep you safe. I mean, everybody really going above and beyond. And it's been really amazing to see the local restaurant groups and leaders like yourself coming together and sharing best practices, encouraging each other, helping each other, and looking at innovation. And one thing that is super interesting is, who would have thought in Michigan the importance of really thinking through ahead of this virus, outdoor spaces in wintertime, right? Yep. And you wonder how that's going to impact development and construction moving forward, and what people are going to invest maybe more in when they're thinking through how to structure and build that restaurant from what if we have another situation where how can we make sure that sales and revenue is not impacted as dire as it was this last go around? Is there ways to be creative or be extra health cautious and take advantage of some of those, not just PPE dollars for the restaurants and employees, but also for the dehumidifiers and extra precautions as far as energy and air?
Yeah, I think restaurants have learned a lot in all of this. They're learning how to adapt, learning to use technology, learning to be more efficient with online ordering. I think the restaurants of the future, there may be less sit-down restaurants. More fast food restaurants might not even have dining rooms, just drive-through only. More ghost kitchens where the restaurant doesn't exist, it just kind of exists as a concept online and they deliver to you. A lot of these things will happen with the industry. I think there'll be pent up demand. I think people love their neighborhood breakfast place. They love their neighborhood pub and tavern. Pete's Tavern in Byron Center, the Uccello's out there, the Brands restaurant, so many great places. We have so many great restaurants, the Gilmore Group, Essence Group, so many great restaurants all around.
Jeff, what people don't realize, everybody's like, just pick up your food and take it home. They don't realize you're paying for the dining experience. You're paying for that atmosphere. You're paying for the service. And although, like some of the people are saying, just pick up, go there, but we don't go to a lot of, we don't pick up our food a lot because we're paying to be with our friends, to get the experience similar to the higher end, like Chop House and going those sorts. So we're not going to be ordering food. So what do you say to people like that? It's more than just the food. You guys are providing a way for us to get together and spend time together and enjoy a meal. There's more than just eating the meal. Nobody wants to eat a meal alone every night or just, you know what I'm saying? What are people's misconceptions on that?
The restaurant experience is very important. So people want to just relax, have a cocktail or a beverage of their choice, be waited on, have some nice food, enjoy some conversation, just take the stress off. And that's what the dining experience is about. But now with no dining rooms, all we do is third-party delivery, curbside to go, order online. And I encourage your listeners and viewers to still support your restaurants, order out once a week, to buy some gift cards. And a lot of guests have. I mean, if our takeout sales were 5 or 7%, they're now 28%. So they've gone up fourfold. And the people have been very generous with their tipping, and they've been very kind with their online and social media reviews. It's just been heartwarming of how the community, as best they can, support our industry. So I think the community's doing their part as best they can. I think there's pent up demand for when we can reopen our restaurants. I can't wait to get the dining rooms open. I know our people can't wait to get back to work. They really, really miss their coworkers. They miss their guests, community members, and we're dying to get back open.
So I have anybody listening who owns a business or a corporation, and we all know we have our meal and entertainment budget line. Don't not use that budget line in January or February. What Jeff is saying and what I'm telling you to do is buy the gift cards now, or order in on Friday as a special. Make it a social impact day for a thank you for your employees. But don't waste it. You waste it, you lose it. Keep that line item. Support your economy. Support the businesses. and it's a win-win-win for everybody, right, Jeff?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we certainly appreciate that. And
I think too, also with people working at home and they used to buy corporate lunches, they used to bring in like Panera Bread, Vitale's, whatever. I think they're able just to go out and say, you know what, we'll just buy, your family a meal this week, and maybe somebody else. They have the means to do that, to help the restaurants and help the person that's home. They're working, they may be taking care of their kids, they may be doing, online schooling. Friday night we'll send, go to Vitale's, call them up and order or something like that. I think that'd be a great idea for some of these people that are home now. And
great idea. That's a great idea, Pam.
Yeah.
Really?
Sure. DoorDash delivers to your house. Beltline Bars on DoorDash. The Sundance Grills are on DoorDash. Red Geranium Bagel Beanery at Michigan Street has a drive-through on it. There's a lot of great ways to get it. There's also DoorDash has a way of ordering DoorDash storefront, so you can go pick it up through the DoorDash app. We're using Grubhub a little bit as well. I know some people are using Uber Eats, and others are just ordering up and going to get it. So, but restaurants are also, they're there for the community. They were some of the first ones to step up and donate food to frontline heroes that are helping in the hospitals. My fellow restaurateurs around the area were donating their rubber gloves to first responders. Yep. They were doing all kinds of things to help all throughout this pandemic. I'm really proud of the hospitality and restaurant community for what they did to help their staff in need, to help first responders in need, and doing things for teachers, everything.
Yeah, you guys have really stepped up, and you always do. And every month of the year, I mean, you guys are always really intentional about that, and it's been pretty amazing to see continue to flourish. And it's our time as a community to give back and say thank you, and make sure we're supporting you too.
We're down to the last 4 minutes here. Let's talk what you see in 2021 with maybe just do you have some good news to share that maybe the restaurant industry, like Stephanie says, they've come up with some innovative ideas, whatever, but what you might see in the industry, and then Stephanie will finish off with our last question. She always does.
Sure. I know the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association, the viewers can go to their site. They're offering assistance to industry workers that need help. They support businesses. They do lobby on our behalf with our state and federal legislatures. I think the industry as a whole, there's going to be some contraction, unfortunately. But I think that the industry will rely a lot on technology for third-party delivery, perhaps going on. We're going to start to use in all of our locations a waitlist app that you can go on called Waitlist Me. So you don't have to wait around in a crowded lobby. You can or go down and wait in line for an hour to get a seat. You can just join the wait from your house and say, oh, I've got 30 minutes, 20 minutes, I'll head over that way. So technology will really help restaurants, I think, become more efficient. Again, I think there's going to be pent up demand. I'm hoping for a great year in 2021.
Yeah, so are we.
We don't have any pandemics or anything like that going forward.
Okay, Steph, what's the last question?
All right, our last question, Jeff, we ask every guest is, how can our viewers and listeners tap into Jeff Lobdell and Restaurant Partners? Where do we got to go to tap in?
You can go to our website, 4greatfood.com. That's the number 4, the letters GR, the number 8, FOOD.com, and support our restaurants or support any of the great restaurants in town. Buy gift cards, go online, order lunch, order breakfast, order dinner, and spread the word that we're raring and ready to get back to work and get our dining rooms open to continue to be the great community gathering places we always have been.
I know.
You rock, Mr. Lobdell. We thank you very much for joining Pam and I today. And thank you for your leadership. Keep on keeping on, and we're here to support.
Thanks. The pleasure's all mine today. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
All right.